Hey guys, it's Lupe here from Team Empire, and earlier today at our locals, we had a case tourney for Evenfall Onslaught. We had a pretty good turnout. It was 28 people, 5 rounds of Swiss, and then we had top 8 cut. I ended up getting 4th in Swiss and 6th in top cut. So today we're going to be going over my deck profile, the deck I played. It's one y'all seen me on the channel before, seen me play on the channel before. It's a real good favorite of mine, and we'll just go straight into the deck profile. Starting with the ride line, we played Prison today, and there's nothing new about it. It is the same ride line Prison's had since set 1. Nothing real special to say. It's just our Ruby Red, Kyanite Blue, Rizot Pink, and Seraph Snow. Nothing real else I can say about it. It's just the tried and true ride line for Prison. So let's put it off to the side. Now we'll start with the main deck. We run 4 copies of Purelight because she is the best card in the deck. This card is really, really strong. It's been strong since she came out. She left the meta a little bit just because decks got much faster than what she can keep up with. But there's 2 cards that have come out recently that have really, really helped her keep up. I guess you could say 3. One's a little bit older, but there's one card in here in particular we'll get to later that is the main reason I played this deck today. This card is very, very strong. Insane card.
What's the maximum number of power you got for front row?
Oh, well, I'll explain more in detail when we go into rounds, but one time I had 60k to the front row, which is the highest I've ever gotten. Dude. Next, for our grade 3s, we run 3 of Penetrate Aquas. Really strong card. People, when she first came out, didn't think she was that good of a card, but I actually really liked her. It's just the deck didn't have the tools that it has now to be fast enough to warrant playing her. But her skill, for those that don't know, she has 2. Is just when placed on Rearguard Circle, your opponent chooses a card from their drop and imprisons it. So really good card. It's one of a few ways to take from the drop. And it takes whatever. So they could put orders in there if they really wanted. Not that it would benefit them, but they could if they wanted. And her second skill is really good. It's kind of like a mini Obscadede. As long as there's 2 or more cards in your prison during both players' turns, she gets plus 5k power, making her default 18k and 10k shield. So she's actually one of the few grade 3s that have shield in the game. And the rest of the skill is when your opponent would guard from hand, they have to guard with 2 or more cards at a time. So really, really strong once you get on Purelight, especially if you have a turn like I did where I had 60k to the front row. I mean, they'd guard with 2 or more anyways, but if they want a PG, that's 3 cards gone. Last for our grade 3s, we want to run Forbidal. Forbidal is really, really strong in several decks. One of my favorite cards in the game, but it's really good in grade 4 decks because you can grab your grade 3s and your grade 4, guaranteeing you have your ride for next turn. And you need to ride Purelight every turn. If you can get Purelight in 2 turns, you pretty much solve it. 3 turns, that is your game. Next, on the grade 2s, we run 4 Macarite. Macarite, she's Macarite, nothing real special to say. Just being able to take a card from the opponent's top of the deck is really strong. Nothing else can really do that in the game. So we still run 4 of her. 4 Cuffs, because again, this card has been in the deck since she got released. Taking one from your opponent's hand, then drawing a card. I remember when she first released, people were like, I don't really know if I want to give my opponent a card, but deck out has become one of the main strategies for Prison ever since she came out. So it's it doesn't even matter. Plus, you have hand rip anyways on Purelight, so it's go ahead, get a card. Then you can call these 2 my tech slots. I don't really know what else to run in the deck. Besides, you could run, I've seen some people play Exploding Melting, which is a blitz order. But I really like this card, especially for decks like Magnolia Mask, who have big-ass beaters, and they're mostly grade 2s or less. So it's just a really good... I just have 6 PGs in my deck, basically, with her. So I really like Daddy, so we run 2 of her. Then we run 4 of the new grade 1, moving on to our grade 1s. This card is really strong and instantly replace Shovelstead because she's so much better. She has 2 skills. The first just being able to get plus 5k power if there's 2 or more cards in prison, so 13k beater forever. She only has her power, though, on your turn, not your opponent's turn, so that is something to note for because other cards in the deck keep it for both turns. But her second skill is what makes her really good. It's just an act skill. If something was imprisoned this turn, which it will always be imprisoned during your turn, cost, counterblast 1, imprison a card on field. Search the top 5 cards of your deck and superior color card that's the same grade or less as your Vanguard. So it just allows Prison to deck then, which gives you more chances to check triggers, which honestly the deck didn't really need from like if you're playing against it, but it's really good if you're playing Prison, just being able to go further into the deck. However, this card, Security Upgrader, is the only reason I ran this deck today. This card is insane. It's literally like a fan-made card for how good it is. For those that don't know, he's a new promo that came out this set, and his skill is, it's an axe skill. If you have not rode this turn, you own a grade 3 or greater card with Seraph in its name, you can kill him, search your deck, hand, or drop for a card with Seraph in its name, and Superior Ride it. And the CB effects, the CB cost for that turn, for the Vanguard's turn, gets reduced to by 1. So it just makes Purelight a Soul Blast 1 and Prison 6.
Also, you Prison card from drop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he takes 1 from drop when he does that. So you get 7 cards if you can get from every zone for literally just playing 1 card and retiring it immediately. And what's really cool is that even if you have one Purelight in hand, you call him down. You skip ride, call him down, use Snow skill to CB1, take 2, and then kill him right into Purelight, and you just take the full board, which is really strong, and not many decks can keep up with that. I guess real quick before we move on from him, I do think it is really optimal if you can have a full play set of this guy, because you're basically guaranteeing that you'll use him like 2 or 3 times a game. However, I played 6 rounds today, and I only whiffed on seeing him once, and it was in top cut, which you could argue is a very, it did matter a lot. But if in 6 rounds I only missed him once, and every other game I used him 2 times, I think 3 is pretty optimal, and you can get around with only running 3.
What would you take out for one more upgrader?
If I had another upgrader, let me see. If you're worried about shield, I would say Forbidal. However, I do think you need 4 of him and Forbidal. I would say probably one of her.
I would probably say one of even Purelight herself, because if he gets it from deck or drop anyways, you have Forbidal, which can access 1, and then you have the upgraders, which can also access and are easier to search because of cards like Lifeful.
The only reason I wouldn't do that is just because there are games everyone's played those games where you don't see your key pieces. So this guy is just however many more you're running of him of Purelight. Same thing with Forbidal. So being able to have more Purelights in the deck, I think, is much better. Mm-hmm. But if you really wanted, you could cut her down. I just personally wouldn't, because you really need to see that card. Mm-hmm. Then we run 1 Prison, because we literally could not play the deck without it.
Yep.
Nothing else to say about it.
That's right.
Then we play 4 regular PGs because we are a grade 4 deck. And we're not a stride deck set, so we'll always be on grade 4 once we ride up. So Elementaria would be useless later in the game. So we just run the 4. Then we run Elder Breath for our overtrigger. There is no reason why a Brant Gate besides Heroes would ever run anything besides Elder Breath. This card on Purelight goes crazy.
Yep, and he disrespected one of his opponents with it.
I mean... Yeah, I did.
It's just a strong card like that. It's just really funny.
Well, I forgot that even happened. Then we run 8 crit, 4 Dekar, 4 of the aesthetic crit. Really, you don't need to run Dekar. You used to have to because a lot of your other cards 8 soul, especially like Shovel Style when he was in the deck. But I didn't really have a problem at all with soul today. So this could be whatever you want. I just like it. If I need emergency soul, I could call him down, put him in the soul. But this could really be whatever crits you want. I do think 8 crit is the way, though. Even though Purelight gets a crit, you want to be able to close games as fast as possible. And sometimes swinging for 3 crit goes crazy. Then we run 3 draw triggers. You need to see your pieces. Even though you can superior call from deck now with 2 cards being Rifle and then Security Upgrader, you just need to see them early game. So you need draws. You could run 4 draws, 7 crit, but when I used to run more draw, I would kind of deck out those games. So I wouldn't personally recommend it, but if you like running draw triggers more, you could. Then we play 4 heals, obviously, 3 being the regular ones, 1 restand or counter heal. Honestly, this could be a regular heal if you want. I do think running it is just important because a lot of decks restand now, either Vanguard or Rear Guards. But this only came up once, and it was against Minerva. But at that point, I would have dropped the PG anyways. But it's just a really good card to have for just, like I said, there's a lot of freestanding vanguards and rear guards. So I would keep it. But if you really wanted, it could just become a regular heal. Or it could become one of the other counter heals, whatever best suits you and your local. Mm-hmm. But that's it for the main deck. We're going to go into rounds now. Like I said, there was 5 rounds of Swiss, 1 of Top Cut. Round 1, I faced the Magnolia Mask. I'm not going to lie, I was not worried about that matchup. I knew what she was playing before, but if it was somebody I didn't know and they flipped the Magnolia starter, I wouldn't have been too worried because besides of when InPix first came out, Prison had a pretty favorable matchup against Magnolia because Magnolia has always been resource intensive, and especially the Mask build where they need their CB for their marker generators. So, like, we had great oppression the whole game, and then that was actually the game where I had plus 60k to the front row, which I'd never gotten before. I felt like I was playing premium with those numbers. And then that is the game Jack talked about where I checked over. I already had the crit from Purelight's effect. Then I checked crit over and I think a draw. So I dealt her 6 damage. She was already at 5. So she just got one-shotted.
Disrespectful.
But it was a really good game before that. Like, it was very back and forth. I'm not going to lie, there was one turn where I was a little worried because my hand was kind of lacking in shield. And I wasn't worried she was going to, like, kill me that time, but I was worried she was going to eat through all my hand. But we checked a couple of defenses, which helped me keep my imprisoning pieces. But it was a good game. Round 2 was the only round we lost in Swiss, and we just got immediately destroyed. We faced a guy, our local, he's a cool guy. His name's Zarek. He played Gruzio, and he just, like, kind of won the lottery of his deck because he got to grade 3 and it instantly killed me because he just got really lucky on the 2 triggers he bound. For those that don't know, Gruzio binds triggers, and you cannot gain defensive power from them. And the shield value is decreased by 5, okay, for only for each copy of them. So you can only have like 1 crit in there, and it'll decrease that by 5, which actually matters. But the reason we insta-lost is we were at 1 damage, and then he dealt me 5 damage that turn, and he bound a draw trigger and a critical trigger. And the 5 damages we checked that turn were 3 crit, 2 draw, and I drew normal units off those draw triggers. So, like, nice. I couldn't even guard. And we had all 4 heals and over left in deck. And after I got dealt the 6 damage, we looked at the top cards in my deck. And it was heal, over. Over would have drawn me a draw trigger and then another heal trigger. So, like, we had a go to top deck if only we could get to it.
Yep.
But it happens. I mean, that's what that deck's designed for. Just shutting off defensive power. Because that would have been, obviously the 5th one would have killed me, or the 6 damage would have killed me anyways. Before that would have been 40k power in defensives. Like, which 20k would have been more than enough, but still 40k is like, yeah, it's my turn. That was when I lost in Swiss. Next round we faced Orphis Mask. I actually had not given too much thought about that matchup before then. I was scared. Orphis Mask, he's very scary. Just being able to get triple drive every turn, his tokens are a big number. Polar Arcs is drawing him more cards, Opart calling more Shadow Armies. And one thing I hadn't thought of in the matchup is that he could just keep giving me his Polar Arcs because of cards like Penetrate and Security Upgrader. But that actually didn't benefit him in the long run because we were about to deck him out. Like, he only had 2 cards left in his deck going into my last turn because he just kept drawing and triple drive. So it actually, like, it's cool that if you're Orphis Max and you're facing Prison, you can do that. You can keep getting Polar Access out. You can keep getting your Oparts out. But it also doesn't really benefit you if you're not going to kill the opponent quick enough.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a good game. Like, no shit on the player. He's a really cool guy to play against. But it's interesting to think about if you are playing Orphis, that if you can continuously call Polar Access, you will eventually get to deck out. So we won that round. There wasn't, like, any crazy sack or anything. It was actually kind of hard to get to 10 in Prison because of the damn tokens. But we finally got there our last turn. The next round, we faced Minerva. And there's only one person at our locals that plays Minerva. His name is Richard. And, fuck, he is a tough opponent. Like, I very rarely see him get nervous when we're playing or he's playing. And, like, he was actually kind of, like, really nervous in our game and didn't really know what to do certain turns. And Minerva's a strong deck, so that made me feel pretty good. No, it was really back and forth. I miracle healed on 6 damage because my counter heal actually came to bite me in the ass because I was literally 5k short of his last attack from guarding his last attack that turn. I was like, well, I have 2 heals left in deck. And we just hit one, and then we just went to Purelight next turn with Security Upgrader. And, 7 cards is not much you can do with that. He played against Purelight the first 2 turns that I went into it. He made sure that he wouldn't use Minerva's skill to call out anything else.
Yeah.
So he would just do his regular multi-attack with the rear guards, because that promo and that grade 1 are insane, allowing multi-attack before Minerva even gets to her multi-attack ability. And so he could still have great offensive pressure, but not extend further to where he'd get punished for it. So that really helped them out a lot. And that's why I had to get to 3 Purelight turns to finally get the win. But we got that one. Then final round, we played against a really cool guy from Austin. His name is Mario. And man, I did that man dirty. On 2 turns in a row, I checked 3 crit off my triple drive. First, I wasn't even Purelight the first time. I was just on regular snow. And the only reason he healed out of it is because he hit OT, and even at that, he barely healed out of that, taking the 4 damage that turn. And then next turn, it's just he couldn't he couldn't guard that because it was just so big. And 4 crit, what can you do against that? Especially you're on your second Purelight, or you're on your first Purelight turn, everything got taken from you from the snow turn and that turn. It's just too much oppression. You can't really do anything. It was before that was a fun game.
Before you sucked the shit out of him.
Yeah, that has never happened to me before. He was pretty pissed, understandably, but Mario's a cool guy. And then we did top 8 cut. That was the first time I've ever done a deck check. And I was a little nervous, even though I knew I had all the rarities right. It's just because you never know. Though having that one rarity could get you DQ'd. So it's a little nerve-wracking. But we only played 1 round in top 8, and it was fun. We played against Fovnil. I made a major misplay, though, because I forgot Fovnil has a built-in countercharger that you actually get in the deck set. So I damage denied him. I didn't push him to 5. I only pushed him to 3 with 1 face-up damage when I should have just pushed. Even if I was worried about his restand, since I'm playing Prison, I should have just pushed anyways. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I didn't. So that really hurt me because he had a countercharger, and he runs the Topaz. Or not Topaz, sorry. Amethyst, which is another countercharger in the deck. Which I didn't know he was running until he called it. So there's no way I could have planned for that one, but the deck set does have a built-in countercharger, and I should have remembered that, especially when it was in my Prison. But that's not the main thing that cost us the game. The main thing that cost us, that is the only game I didn't see Security Upgrader. That was the only game I whiffed on him. And I only got 2 Purelight turns, and it was kind of staggered because it was Purelight. I couldn't do Purelight again, and then finally was able to do her again. But at that point, he had just built up. He kept PGs and big shield in hand, and then he eventually got, on his last turn, he reverse stacked the deck because he was running Ling. And for those that don't know, Ling is on place. Doesn't care from where, just on place. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. 1 goes to Soul, 1 goes to bot deck. So usually it's just you banish that card and you don't see it again. But I kept imprisoning it because he would just put it in there. And so he got to be able to reverse stack the deck, which is pretty cool. But that was annoying. And we miracle healed to go into our next turn. But the problem was that was the turn we didn't see Security Upgrader, or we didn't have a Purelight in hand. So it was what does it really matter? Mm-hmm. So it was just rough because I was basically playing Old Prison, but it was still a lot of fun. We got 6th in top 8. Turnout was a lot of fun. I really love Prison. It's probably my second favorite deck in standard format. I think it's one of my favorite decks ever in the game. Just the amount of control I have over my opponent in the game state. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck profile, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll probably have another one up soon after BCS season happens here. Ooh. There's 9 players on the team.
I was just saying, confident.
Well, I'm very confident in our team. We have 9 players. So it's one of us will eventually top a BCS. There's still quite a few this season. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We faced Orphis Mask. I actually had not given too much thought about that matchup before then. I was scared because Orphis Mask is very scary. Very scary. W voice crack.
I'm so sorry.
You can put that in the blooper.
Yeah. No, I'm so sorry. Please continue. Okay.